Good morning. Good morning. I want to welcome you to the third annual Global Learning Conference at FIU. It feels like a family reunion here. Thank you for your interest in global learning and for taking the time to spend the day with us. I have one important reminder and one request before we begin the day's activities. First, I'd like to remind us all, really, of the bigger purpose of global learning at FIU. We'll be talking today a lot about teaching strategies, global learning content, the complex issue of global citizenship. We may even mention that dirty word assessment. But the overarching reason we're here is because we care about our students. And so the reminder is that global learning is about our students. It's about the world they live in. It's about what we all are doing and can do to help our students envision and make real a world that expands well-being for all of us. And for the request, the Boston Marathon bombings on Monday have moved and saddened all of us, from those of us here in Miami to those from every corner of the world that have known the fear of violence, the pain of hatred, the aftermath of tragedy. In thinking about our students and what we care about, on whose shoulders rests the hope of a more peaceful future, and how difficult that burden often feels in the midst of acts of violence. In thinking about all of us who are educators and who are parents, who must help our students make sense of what they experience when violence erupts. I'd like to say that I'm heartened first and grateful for all the images of human kindness that have emerged. Thousands of people opening their homes to those who were displaced, the generosity of so many individuals rushing toward the scene to help. I'm grateful also for all of us here today as we work together to support each other in painful times, as well as celebrate each other in joyful ones. And so I'd like to request a moment of silence. Thank you. And to introduce the activities for this morning, the right side of my brain, Stephanie Dasha.
Good morning. It's my pleasure to introduce Patty Lopez Guerrero. She serves as the Associate Director of the Center for Leadership and Service here at Florida International University. She plays an active role in the development of academic service learning at FIU by leading campus-wide initiatives, which include promoting service learning to faculty and serving as an advisor to several community service, student clubs, and organizations, such as our very popular Alternative Breaks. Patty has been with FIU since December 2000, and we thank you for sharing your expertise with us today. Welcome, Patty.
So today's theme in this Global Learning Blast is about service learning, but in particular about reflection and different creative and innovative ways that we can host reflection activities within our students, whether you're using reflection as part of a course content or through a co-curricular program. So I'm not quite sure everyone's knowledge on service learning, so I thought that we could start off the blast just by sharing some, overall definitions. Service learning is a teaching and learning approach that integrates community service with academic study to enrich learning through civic responsibility and as we strengthen our communities. It's the tie-in service learning between what our students are doing in the classroom and using that as an extension out into the community. In particular, I wanted to talk about reflection this morning. And we could see here, reflection is the heart of service learning. You can consider it as the hyphen in between service, in between learning. And I want to get a sense, what are some of the reflection activities that you may do with your students, whether in class or through co-curricular programs? Anyone feels that they'd like to share this morning? A couple of the ways?
I use a minute taker kind of approach in class when we're talking about something and there's a quick reflection, on the topic.
Okay. Anyone else? Deanne?
I have a series of directed questions.
Okay.
You know, what did you learn? What did you feel? What was the impact?
Okay. Becca, one more person?
I have a life cycle nutrition class, and they go out to women go to a breastfeeding site, and from there then the women go to a congregate meal site, and then they answer some questions and reflect on what they experienced.
Excellent.
In my social work course, I have the students write a letter of advocacy,
Okay.
and then I have them reflect on the experience of writing.
Great. Okay. Last one.
I have them do a simulation on peace building and then write a paper
Excellent.
that reflects on what they learned using theories and concepts of the class.
Excellent, excellent. So we could see that service learning being the heart of having reflection, the heart of service learning, and really using that as the evaluation process of the learning. We see that with intentional, well-grounded, rooted reflection, it's an opportunity for transformative change to happen for the students. That is driving the meaning, and the learning is emerged from there. With that, we see having that well-organized, well-rooted, well-thought-out reflection, and it has to be ongoing. So throughout the work that you're doing with the students, maybe through the semester or through the program, is that it has to be continuous in order to be as effective as it can, in order to really draw out those skills, critical thinking, that deeper sustainable learning, that increased consciousness of what they've learned, and then they could really see the relevance that's going on with that. In particular, I'm really interested in exciting ways to do reflection and really moving past your average writing assignments, your average journals, but really thinking of creative ways for them to do reflection and how we could use technology to do that. I went to a conference about a month ago, and I sat through a presentation on digital storytelling, and that's really what I want to leave, if you don't leave with anything today, but knowing what the concept of digital storytelling is and how that could be a really effective and motivating way for reflection. But on the Global Learning website, I'm going to post some things, the staff will post some things there. But when we look at reflection and look at different methods, and really thinking outside the box and really moving past your average journal entries or free writing, but really thinking about that directive writing, maybe using quotations as an opportunity for reflection, maybe through journaling or through essay. The three-part, which is the descriptive analyst application, or some of us know it maybe like the what, so what, now what is also used. Oral histories and having students go out and taking those using case studies. Digital storytelling, I've added that. There's my recent experience with reflection. Using reflection through experiential research papers is another way. And so on the Global Learning website, there's going to be a handout there for you that really has descriptions on how to do some of these things and some other exercises for you, as well as looking at our learners and our students and thinking about, okay, what are some of the ways that they learn the best? Maybe they're more spatial learners, maybe they're more visual learners, maybe they're more auditory learners, and what are some reflective activities that they could do that kind of pairs up with their strength in learning is one of the things. Yes, it'll be on the Global Learning website, yes.
On our website right now, you can go to the faculty page and you can see that the faculty tab, and you can see that there's a sub-page that's Global Learning Conference, and all of last year's presentations, videos, and materials are there. In the coming, probably the next week and a half, we'll have the same thing, the presentations, the handouts, and the video.
Yeah.
Press for the faculty. Anyone can access that.
Yes.
Anyone around the world.
Yeah. Yeah. The handout that's in your folders right now about service learning is if you're interested in creating a service learning experience in your course or in a co-curricular program, some of the steps to make that happen are listed there. But in regards to reflection, I had two really large handouts that had a lot of information. Over 50 different types of reflections are on there. And so that'll be available online for you to look at. There are more descriptions. I just named them up here, just a few that I thought were really different according to some of the stuff that I hear that other people are doing in reflection. But I really wanted to spend a few minutes talking about digital storytelling, which is my new favorite way to do reflection. So digital storytelling, it's the opportunity where you can collect still or motion images or pictures using students talk about their experience through a first-person narrative. And it doesn't have to be terribly long. It could be something that could be 1 to 3 minutes. It could be longer. It's up to what you're thinking that would be appropriate for that particular assignment. But it's a way to document their learning experience through the first person. And it's something that's created and done by the student. Like I said, it's done in the first person. It's told in their own voice. And they're using images paired up with their voice, paired up with the words that they're saying to really convey the message. And I'm going to show you 2 examples of a digital story. I'm going to show you an example of one that's done through a classroom assignment, and then one that's done through a co-curricular program that I thought would be good examples. So you kind of get what I'm saying with this. So within the digital story, the students, I worked close with the 2 students who created these stories, and within my own course. I had them do a digital story as part of their assignment this semester. And we sat down and we talked about a question that I wanted them to think about. And so I think that when we've done reflection, we get students talk about a lot of this, but then this is the essence of what they're saying. And within a digital story, my goal was for them to get the this recorded and done. With that, the student wrote up a script. So we talked about a question. We talked about what it means. And I had them write out a script that really illustrated the meaning of that question. And then from there, I asked them, OK, so we've got down what you want to say. Now we're going to collect images that represent what you're saying and what the words mean in terms of this reflection. The goal of the digital story is overall the purpose and using that question or that prompt that describes that. And it's very important as they're recording, when you're talking with the students, is letting them know it's done in the first person, and then understanding the importance of writing out that script first. So when they speak and they record it, there's clarity in the voice, it's clear, and it's an opportunity for them to really express what the learning has happened. And they can add a meaningful soundtrack that's part of it. And there's many different ways that a student could do this in terms of free options for the students. So within those who have Macs, iMovie is an opportunity for them to put that together. And it's actually really good because the student can record their voice, and it formats into an MP3 file. And when they connect the pictures to that, it all folds together very nicely. Also, Windows Movie Maker is another great resource that students can do to create this, as well as Photo Story 3, which is a free download. They could do this as well.
Always giving a homeless person money made me think, does my $1 could help me buy their food today? But what are they going to do tomorrow? I always wanted to help a homeless to find their house in which they could live comfortably, don't have to worry about their next meal, and have a good well-being. Last year, I was introduced to Maslow's hierarchy of needs in my psychology class, in which physiological needs come first, which are health and food, without which a person cannot even think about having a purpose. That made my heart felt more. In the beginning of the year, when I saw an email from Career Services regarding an SOW 4932 class, it made me feel like I found my way to help the homeless. During the semester, Professor told us to choose a project. I knew from the beginning that I wanted to help out the homeless. Two of my other classmates shared the same passion with me, and we named the project Hunger to Help the Homeless. We volunteered some Wednesdays together. After every volunteering, it made me feel happier, satisfied, and cheerful. It felt like I was feeding my soul with happiness. From this course, I learned I'm on the highest level of happiness when I make an effort to help other people. I also learned that other people share my passion too. Looking at my group mates, I learned that some people look at the same things the way I do. We all wanted to make a difference. Meeting the homeless people while visiting organization, I learned that all humans need love, whether they are old or young. With about 44 hours of volunteering, consoling the broken hearts, and help them find a purpose, $300 in fundraising, and finding group mates who share my passion, I feel accomplished.
So that's one example. I'm sorry about the audio, that it was a little sketchy, but I had asked that student as part of her assignment in the class to think about what the impact of homelessness made to her. And so we sat, we talked a little bit about that, and I helped her find the meaning. For her is she always had an interest in the homeless, never really made a difference to go out and help. And so that is one example as part of a class that, as a digital story. So the second one, which is part of a co-curricular.
I was recently asked how my work at the Center for Leadership and Service had an impact on me. And I took the time to reflect on my involvement with the office. I thought back to 2011, when I had kind of been talked into my involvement with the MLK Day of Service. Now, I was a casual participant, and I thought to myself, enough people that I knew were going, and it'd be fun, so I wouldn't mind breaking a sweat. Plus, I'd be doing some community service, and that is always good. And that day, we did a number of different things. We did some painting, trash pickup, and we laid sod and cut back on the foliage and shrubbery that had developed around a bus stop. Now, this kind of resonated with me, because we had been told that at that very bus stop, fairly recent to our being there, that a young girl had been raped there. So us clearing it out, we're kind of making the place a bit safer. And as I left that day, I took pride in the work that I put in. Next time I crossed paths with CLS, I was in search for professional development. I was directed there by a mentor of mine who told me I'd be able to find leadership development opportunities. Once I was there, I was told about alternative breaks, AB, and changing the world one break at a time. But honestly, I was more intrigued about the opportunity to travel to places like the Dominican Republic, Guatemala, and Costa Rica. Now, I didn't make it to Guatemala, but I did go to a place just as amazing. And that was the Center for Homelessness in South Bend, Indiana. During my time in Indiana, I witnessed individuals impact lives, changing the trajectory of entire families that had been struck by misfortune and hard times. And during that week, I was changed. The Center for Leadership and Service facilitated my transformation. CLS has led me to believe that I can change the world. And not the world in the sense of the entire globe, but the world of a single person, the way a person sees the world and their place in it. And I continued my involvement in CLS and alternative breaks for this very reason. I wanted to ensure that as many of my peers as possible would have a similar experience. And as a part of AB's steering committee, we sent over 25 groups out, creating over 200 active citizens. I was also fortunate to be a member of the first Global Civic Engagement Student Advisory Board, where we funded several projects that addressed global issues with a local impact. This summer, I'm proud to say that I'm going to be joining an exceptional group of people as one of the first AB groups on the African continent, assisting in the fight against HIV and AIDS. In conclusion, CLS has helped me develop my passion for service that I will carry with me for the rest of my life, and has inspired me to be the change. And I encourage you all to do the same. Be the change.
So I could take questions now. 2 questions. 10 minutes is hard.
Elementary school class, it sounds like it was 7 or 8 years old.
No, I think the audio, it was challenging to hear the audio. We'll post it so that you could see it. No, she's a junior. She just has a very young sounding, voice. But she took a service learning course this semester in which she was challenged to pair up in a group and to do a project based on a social issue that they as a group felt passionate about. And homeless was what they picked.
Who wrote
She wrote the script, yes.
You read it. Can you really speak it?
She recorded her voice, yes, yes. Yeah, she's reading a script, yes. So the most important thing is, in order to get this, there needs to be a script. Because if not, they could go, on and on. And so, and that gets to the essence of what, really what the meaning of that project was to her.
In the process, I just mean thought that they should speak rather than just listen to it, because it's a good way to put people to sleep. You really spit and you walk along.
Yes, yes, yes. We had some challenges with the audio. If it would play out in its entirety, you could see that the clarity is a lot better. It was kind of sketchy. And the images that were shown really paired up with the words that she was speaking. And that's really the essence of that.
And we will have that available so that you can share that as a model, perhaps even with students to encourage what you're looking for, students meeting your expectations. Thank you.
My 2 minutes are up.